Welcome to Daily Armour. Previously, we were in Ecclesiastes and we were thinking of the thought of when the longer way is the better way. Looking at it a little further, I've found some scripture in Lamentations chapter 3, and things are looking really heavy and things are looking really hard and difficult. But we'll see how that Jeremiah, who wrote the book of Lamentations, we'll see where he found where his source of strength truly came from. But let's look here. Whenever we realize that sometimes God is taking us the longer way, He's not tunneling through that mountain. Sometimes we have to go around it. He's not removing those circumstances. He's not removing the storm all the time. In my life, that's been the case so many times where He has not removed the storm, but He has simply given me strength and protection to get through the storm. As we look at Lamentations chapter 3, I want you to notice the wording in verse number 9. And here it says in verse number 9, it says, He hath enclosed my ways with hewn stone. He hath made my paths crooked. He has enclosed my ways with hewn stone. You think about those hewn stones. They're huge. They're unmovable. God has sometimes set some boundaries. He's allowed some things to come into our path, and we are not going to have the strength to remove them ourselves. We're not going to be able to fight it off ourselves. We're not going to be able to deal with it ourselves. We're not going to be able to handle it ourselves. We have been enclosed. We have been surrounded by enemies. We have been maybe going through a terrible hardship, maybe going through just severe pain, problems, diseases, whatever the case may be, just terrible things. But God has put us in that path for a reason, and He's enclosed us with that hewn stone. It means that He has placed some boundaries that we can't move. God knows how to open doors, but He also knows how to close doors. And He does that for us for a reason. He does it for a season, and He does it because He's the one that's got the master plan. He hath made, listen to this in verse number 9 as well. He hath enclosed my ways with hewn stones. Those are going to be those things that we can't move ourselves. He hath made my paths crooked. Now we want the Lord to we want Him to get everything straightened out, but there are some things that He purposefully has made crooked. And as you go through the rest of it, all the way down to verse number 18, things are looking rough. Things are difficult. I know there's several circumstances, and it's going to be, I have a long road ahead of me. I know I do. It's going to be full of crooked things. It's going to be full of those hewn stones where I'm not going to be able to move those circumstances. I'm not going to be able to deal with those circumstances. I can't handle it. But that doesn't deflect from what God is doing in my life. He doesn't always make things easier. You think about that caterpillar before it becomes that butterfly. It's got to struggle, and it's this part of the struggle that makes it come out and have these strong, beautiful wings that it can just fly off. It's the struggle. So in the struggle, we see God is doing some amazing things. In verse number 9, it says, He hath made my paths crooked. He was with me as a bear lying in wait, and as a lion in secret places. He hath turned aside my ways and pulled me in pieces. He hath made me desolate. God is allowing some things, and this is how Jeremiah is feeling. This is what he is noticing about his circumstances. They're difficult. They're hard. And Lord, why are you leaving me like this? Lord, why am I going through this? And as Jeremiah is sharing all the way down to verse number 18, it says, and I said, my strength and my hope is perished from the Lord. He is without his own strength. Jeremiah has none of his own. He is without his own abilities to do anything about these circumstances. But then he remembers. And that's what you need to remember time and time and time again, how God has came through for you time and time and time again. He did it His way. He did it in His time. But remember, and this is where we're going to get our hope from, is remembering. So in verse number 19, I want you to notice things are changing. And we'll deal with verses 19 through 26 as quickly as I can. Remembering mine affliction and my misery, the wormwood and the gall, my soul hath them still in remembrance and is humbled in me. He's remembering all these things. He's realizing, hey, all this stuff It's outside of my ability to do anything about. I didn't cause it. I didn't, I'm not, able to do anything about it. It's way outside my abilities. But this I recall to my mind, therefore I have hope. He's been humbled. He's realizing, hey, you know what? All of these things are terrible, and I'm assessing everything. I'm also remembering how God has helped and moved in times past, and that I know He is fully in control. He is fully in control. This I recall to my mind, therefore have I hope. He is submitting to that. Jeremiah is submitting to, he says, therefore, it says, my soul hath still in remembrance and is humbled in me. He is finally, he's humbled by all that he's going to. He's submitted. He is being submissive to, Lord, this is where you have me in this season of life. You're the one in control. You have removed any of my abilities, any of my strength, any of my, any of those things that I might be able to add to. You have stripped all those away from me, and I am humbled in that process. But verse number 21, this I recall to my mind, therefore I have hope. He hasn't lost hope. He's just submitted to God. He's submitted to God. No matter what the circumstances are, and it doesn't even matter what it is, no matter how big that enemy is out there, and he's big, and he's strong, and he has some abilities, but our hope still goes all the way back to the Lord, no matter what it looks like, no matter what is surrounding us, no matter what is within us, no matter what we're dealing with, our hope goes back to the Lord. Verse number 21, therefore have I hope. It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed. God gets to decide. The enemy doesn't get to decide. God gets to decide. It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. He knows, and he is helping, and he has compassion on my circumstances. He has compassion on your circumstances. He's doing things that we're never going to understand. He's God. And our ways are not the same as his. The way we think about things is not the way that he thinks about things. And we have to submit to that. And we have to understand that sometimes the longer way is the better way. Sometimes he does put limits in our abilities of what we can do. He does place some heavy boundaries, and we're not going to be able to push those doors open. That we're not going to be able to move those walls out of our way. But it reminds us, Jeremiah's reminding us, it is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. He stopped looking at his circumstances. He stopped looking at himself, and he started looking at God. And that's what I have to remind myself all the time. Quit looking at my circumstances. Quit looking at, woe is me, and having a little pity party. Oh, I'm going through this. I'm going through that. And yes, things are painful. And yes, things are hard. And yes, things are difficult. But where should my mind be at? It should be on the Lord, as that's the struggle. That's the hardest part, is to keep our focus not on out there, not on in here, but keep our focus on him. Our focus is looking up. It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Do you realize that? He's got a fresh new batch for you this morning. He'll have a fresh new batch of mercy for you in the morning, and in the next day, and in the next day. The Lord is my portion, such my soul, saith my soul. The Lord is my portion, saith my soul. Verse number 24. Therefore will I hope in him. I'm not looking at the circumstances. I'm not looking at my abilities, but my hope is in him. All my hope is in Jesus. The Lord is good unto them that wait for him. No matter what the struggle is, wait on him. He's worth the wait. He's worth waiting on. Time is a problem for me. Time is a problem probably for you, but it's not a problem for him, no matter how bad it looks. It's not a problem for him. The Lord is good unto them that wait for him, to the soul that seeketh him. It is good that a man should have hope and quietly wait for the salvation of the Lord. It's okay. It's okay to have problems. It's okay that you've got these circumstances and there's nothing you and I can do about them, but then quietly wait for the salvation of the Lord. My hope relies in him. The enemy doesn't get to decide if I am destroyed. The Lord is my portion. The Lord is my portion. It is good for a man that he bear the yoke in his youth. He sitteth alone and keeps silence because he hath borne it upon him. When we think about quietly waiting for the Lord, there's some things that when you're younger, you could handle because you were younger and you were stronger. But he put us through seasons over and over again of putting us in circumstances where we're hemmed all in, we're hemmed about, and they're heavy. They're these big, huge stones. They are heavy, and we are not going to be able to push them out. We're not going to be able to, we don't have the strength to remove those boundaries, but God does. And we need to quietly wait on him. My hope is in Jesus. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again soon.